Hello again. This is a nice mini beast story. It's called Centipede's 100 Shoes. Imagine if your mummy and daddy had to take you to the shoe shop to buy 100 shoes. It would cost them a fortune. I like this book. In the front it's got the numbers to 100. This will be in your resource pack if you would like to print it and have a go at counting all the way up to 100. Centipede Shoes. Centipede's 100 Shoes by Tony Ross. Let's just bring this a bit closer so you can see the pictures. Ow! The little centipede was not looking where he was going and he hurt his toe. But which one? Mum will know. Not this one, or 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 this one. Come here and I'll kiss it better, said Mum. At last, Mum found the hurt toe and kissed it better. Tomorrow you must get some shoes, she said. Early the next morning, Mum took the little centipede to the shoe shop. 100 shoes, please, said the centipede. 50 left ones and 50 right ones. 50 and 50. What does that make? It makes 100, doesn't it? Why do you want 100, said the shoe seller. Because I'm a centipede, which means 100 legs, said the little centipede. Do you want lace-ups or buckles, asked the shoe seller. Lace-ups, please, said the little centipede. Lace-ups are more grown up. So the little centipede tried on shoes until he found ones that he liked, and the shoe salesman wrapped them up. The next day, the little centipede put on his shoes. It took a long time. Then he had to tie up all the laces, and when at last he had finished, he had 58 shoes left over. That's because most centipedes only have 42 legs, said his granddad. He has got a lot left over, hasn't he? When the last shoe was laced up, it was bedtime. And time to start taking the shoes off again. Next morning, the little centipede put on his shoes again. This time he was quicker. He was better at tying the laces. So after lunch, he went for a walk. Oh, Mum, he cried, my new shoes hurt. That's because you have no socks on, said his mother. And this little centipede started to take off his shoes again. Oh dear, do you think he's going to have to go and buy socks? Oh, and his aunties all began to knit socks. Next morning, the little centipede put on all his socks. He had his lunch and then started to put on his shoes. Just before supper, he went for a walk. Oh, my feet feel fine now, Mum, he said. Time for bed, said his mother. So the little centipede took off his shoes and tumbled into bed. You can't go to sleep in your socks, said his mother. So he took off his socks as well. Next morning, the little centipede looked at all the shoes and socks. Oh, I don't think I'll bother, he sighed. So he put his 100 shoes and his 42 socks into his little burrow and sold them to all the creepy crawlies with fewer legs. He sold shoes to 5 spiders, 4 beetles, 2 woodlice and a grasshopper, with socks for the 5 spiders and enough shoes and socks left for 2 worms. Did anyone spot the beetle with 7 legs? I'm going to have a quick look through the book and see if I can find that. A beetle with 7 legs. I don't think on that page. There's the beetles. Look, how many legs do the beetles have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me look on that page. Well, it took a lot of searching, but I think this is him. Let's have a count of these legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was very difficult to spot. There we are. Centipede's 100 Shoes by Tony Ross. See if you can count to 100 by printing off the sheet that has the little trail of numbers to 100. In your resource pack this week, you will find a colouring sheet full of beautiful beetles. There's been some colouring already on these. You might like to do some colouring yourself to make them look beautiful. So I thought we'd just remind ourselves about how we do colouring. So, Mrs. Lang's just chosen 3 colour pens. I've got a blue, a green and a purple. And I'm going to choose my blue one to start with. And I'm going to choose this beetle as the one that I'm going to colour in. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer there for you. Oh, I hope you can see. So when we're colouring in, we need to be really careful to stay within the lines. And this is really good practice colouring in for your writing, because it's all about learning how to control your pencil. So I'm going to do this little beetle here. And I'm going to have a think about which colour I'm going to colour in first. So I'm going to use my blue, and the first bit I'm going to do is this line at the top here, look. Or then let's go for this one at the bottom. So I want to stay within the line. So a good way to do this is to go round the edge first. See, I'm being really careful, just little strokes. Okay, so I'm going round the edges first, following the line around. There we go. Now, because I'd like my bug to be symmetrical, I'm going to do the same the other side. So I'm very carefully, in the same colour, I'm going to follow the line. So I'm not rushing. I wouldn't be able to do all these beetles in one day. I'm being really careful. Of course, with a felt tip pen, once it's gone wrong, I can't rub it out, can I? So let me have a look. I'm going to have pink next, and my next line is going to be pink. So I'm very carefully to do the same thing. I'm going to follow the lines around. It's very easy for me to think, oh, I can't take this much time, but I am. I'm going to be really careful. See how I've followed the lines? I've followed the lines very, very carefully. And I'm going to do the same here, look. Okay, I'm trying to keep my hands up the pen a bit so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. But you need to think very carefully about your pencil grip, don't you? Oh, I think I will have green next. So again, very carefully following the lines, following the lines. There we go. Very careful not to go out of the edge of the line, and then I'm going to do the same here. And this is really going to help me practice writing too, because it means it's helping my muscles in my hands to get stronger. I'm going to do the little heart now. I'm going to go round, go round and follow the line, keeping it nice and neat and tidy. See, I'm not going outside the line. It's very tricky. Practice makes perfect. I think I'm going to make this rainbowy line a little bit wavy look. So this time I've got to do a curly movement look. I'm still being very careful not to go out of that line. I'm going to carry it all the way across in pink to keep my bug symmetrical. There we go. You might want to use colouring pencils. It can be a little bit easier sometimes. So I'd love to see your finished work, and it might be that you could colour in one of these beetles, cut it out and tell a little story about your beetle. Have fun.